Here is a comparison that Pabst drinkers might find interesting. We're going to take Pabst Blue Ribbon, rated at 69 on Beer Advocate, which is considered poor, versus Weihenstephaner, German Bavarian Helles, rated at 91, which is, I think, considered exceptional. I know that there were some in the 80s that were considered very good, but I think when you're in the 90s, then you're considered exceptional. I don't know. I'll have to double check. Anyway, I've got them poured. Got about the same amount in each glass. Might be a tick more Pabst in there. Let's see, Pabst 4.8 ABV, I believe. This is 5.1. What does it say here on the can? Because if it does, I probably won't be able to read it because my eyesight is shitty. Hell, both of these are sweet beers that don't have much hop bitterness to them. All right, well, let's get them mixed up here, so that I'll do this blindfolded and see which one I think tastes better. Pabst American Adjunct Lager is surprisingly good. A lot of American Adjunct Lagers that I've had have a terrible, dry, sawdusty finish to it. But Pabst doesn't. Pabst is sweet from start to finish. Maybe that's a good thing. I don't know. But I think it could use some hops. A little bit of bitterness in there to balance out some of that sweetness. And maybe Weihenstephaner will have that. I don't know. We'll see. All right, so good, sweet, start to finish. No indication of hops, probably Pabst. A drinkable beer, okay flavor. How would I describe that flavor? Hints of pear and banana. I saw listed somewhere, but I'm not sure I can pick that up. And I'm not sure that's Pabst. It's a little bit less bright in flavor. This was bright in flavor, in the sweetness. This one is kind of subdued in flavor compared to this one. Very similar, but subdued. They were not as prominent. I mean, there's a difference, a noticeable difference. This is a very easy drinking beer. At least compared to this one. Although this one's easy drinking too. Next to this, and a side-by-side comparison, the flavor is, as I said, less pronounced. It's more bitter. And it's not quite as easy drinking as this. I'm going to open my eyes because I don't know which one is which. Even now, I don't know which one is which, so there's no need for me to keep my eyes closed. I would say that's got a good malty lager flavor. But still, a little bit of bitterness would be fine, if only at the finish. You know, have it nice and sweet going in, and then finish it up with some bitterness, a little bit of bitterness. This one doesn't have, or it has the bitterness from the beginning to the end. It's consistent. It's good. But next to this, you know what this tastes like? Right next to this, it tastes like cologne. If you can imagine what cologne would taste like. I'm still leaning towards this one being the Pabst, and better, as in a beer that I would rather drink more of. It would also be different if there were food involved. Suppose I had some German sausage and washing it down with some beer. I don't know how it would turn out. Maybe this one would be better because to complement that flavor. Now when I drink this one first and chase it with this one, then I could hardly tell the difference at all because there's still some lingering taste on my tongue from this one when I'm drinking this one, and it kind of makes this one taste about the same as this one. So let's try this again. It's good. It's got a dull flavor next to this. You know, like I said, if this flavor is bright, then this is dull. Not by much, a little bit. Noticeable. This one, I'm going to do this one and chase it with that. Yeah, the best thing to do if you do these side-by-side comparisons is to give yourself time or give a little bit of a gap between the two drinks so that you get all the lingering flavor off your tongue when you go for the next one. Because it affects it. Chasing one beer with another, it affects the second beer. The first beer affects the second beer. That's what I'm trying to say. I didn't do much of a delay there or a gap. I would say the flavor, the strength of the flavor is about the same. One doesn't necessarily taste stronger than the other, but one does taste bright, one tastes dull. They're both fairly sweet, but this one's more bitter. And I think it's the bitterness which has given it the dullness. It's a good beer. And this is a good beer too. No terrible aftertaste. But like I said, could use some bitterness. So which one's better? Pabst or Weihenstephaner? Again, it's subjective. It depends on your mood. But right now, I'm going for the Pabst. And let's just make sure that, yeah, this is my Weihenstephaner. I got a piece of tape on the bottom of this glass to mark it. Pabst beats Weihenstephaner. Outsweets it. It's just a good, decent flavor to it, and that flavor tastes subdued. It's a very similar flavor, but more bitter and more subdued than this. Like I said, this is bright, and this is you're dimming it some. So you never know, because I love this beer. Drink it often. Whenever, if I go out to a bar and they have it, I'll get it. But most of them don't. I'll get Hofbräu also. If they have this and Hofbräu, I'll get either one of them. But usually they'll have one or the other. And if they have one of this or Hofbräu, I'll get them. And it's a great beer. Every time I drink a Weihenstephaner or a Hofbräu, I thought, that's the way beer should taste. But you never know until you sit it down side by side with another beer. Close your eyes so you don't know which is which. Taste them and see which one you like better. I'll finish this by saying that there are a lot of people, and I've mentioned this before in my videos, who have their favorite beer. Be it Budweiser, Miller High Life, Coors. I'm talking about the typical Americans who go out to dive bars and things like that, and there are some hardcore guys, hardcore Bud guys, or hardcore Miller guys, or whatever. And same goes for light. I don't drink light beer, but a lot of people in the U.S. do, and they say, "Oh, Bud Light, I can tell. I know Bud Light. I can tell it," and or Miller Lite, whatever. And my nephew was up, and I sat him down. I said, "I'm going to get you a Bud Light, a Coors Light, a Miller Lite. We're going to mix them up. You don't know which is which, and you tell me which ones is which and which one you like better." Well, I think that he was a Bud Light guy, and he said, "Oh, yeah, I know Bud Light." But what happened was that he mislabeled each beer. He couldn't identify which is which, and the one that he thought was his favorite wasn't. He picked something else as his favorite. Like I said, "Okay, now tell me which beer is which." We have three of them. And he said, "Well, this is Bud Light, this is Coors Light, this is Miller Lite." I said, "Which is your favorite?" "Well, this is my favorite." Well, none of the beers were identified correctly. And the one that he picked as his favorite was not what he claimed to be his favorite. And I said, "Rank them, which one you like the best?" "Well, I like this one the best, then this one, this one." And the one that he had previously said was his favorite was the one he liked the least. So for those of you who say that you are a Bud drinker or a Bud Light drinker or a Miller Lite drinker or whatever, do it side by side. Close your eyes, get the three beers, do it side by side, and then see which one you really like. I did something like that. I did a bracket, a 32 beer triple elimination bracket. So every beer was tested at least 3 times. It had to lose 3 times before it was eliminated. And took a lot of adjunct lagers, Mexican lagers, European lagers. It was all lagers and pilsners. Hofbräu came out on top, and it was very close between Hofbräu and the Czech Budweiser, or Budweiser. Czechvar, which is what they call it in the U.S. And it turned out that Hofbräu won the contest. And I did this blindfolded, so I didn't know, there was no bias involved. Hofbräu 1 turned out to be my favorite beer. And I found out that the Czech bar was quite possibly my second beer. I think Weihenstephaner was in there. Weihenstephaner performed very well. I think it went up against Hofbräu, I don't know, twice maybe, I don't know. And won one, lost one. It was close between the two. And the same thing with Czech bar. Czech bar faced off against Hofbräu, I think at least 2 times, maybe 3. And Hofbräu won 2 out of 3 comparisons with Czech bar. Czech bar is a very good beer. I should get some of that and do some comparisons. Czech bar against Pabst. That'll be interesting. So, and then, other beers that performed really well, that advanced through the ranks before they finally got eliminated, was Kronenbourg 1664 from France. Good beer. Stella didn't do too bad. It did better than average. And just about every bar serves Stella because it's owned by Anheuser-Busch InBev. So wherever you go in the U.S., you're likely to find Stella on tap or in a bottle, but probably on tap. And usually when I go out to a bar around here that has your typical American selection of beers, they have Stella. That's what I get. Because I don't get light beers, as I said, but I do get lagers. I don't get Budweiser unless there's no other option. And I don't get Miller Lite. I don't get Miller High Life or Coors, and I haven't seen any place that has Coors on tap around here. But I guess you got to go to one of those places, like Beers of the World, or some place that has a shitload of beers. They might have Coors on tap, but it's really not that great. I don't care too much for Coors. Estrella Galicia, or Estrella Galicia, whatever, it's from Spain. That beer performed pretty well, and I should get some of that and do some comparisons. All right, well, I'm sitting here rambling on and making this video long. Nobody wants to watch more than 10 minutes because people have short attention spans these days. Unless I can say something really interesting to keep you engaged, but I can't. So I'm out.